Hello, I'm Tim. I'm the operations manager here at Schuler Books. Welcome to this week's Prepare Your Shelf, a chance for us to tell you about a few books coming out this week that we're excited about. We've been creating these for a few weeks now, and we're happy to see that people are finding them and enjoying them. We feel like this is yet another way that we can connect people through books, so thank you for joining us. And if you like these, feel free to interact by liking or commenting on our videos. And if you don't want to miss any of our other content on this platform, please be happy to subscribe to the channel. All right, without further delay, let's get to the books.
Hi, I'm Indigo. The first book that I want to talk about today is called Nothing More of This Land by Joseph Lee. He is an Indigenous journalist, and this is his memoir looking into how Indigenous people are treated in today's society. And it goes all the way back to his childhood of being an Indigenous person growing up in Martha's Vineyard, and kind of just how everything has shaped who he is today. And then especially with getting into journalism and seeing more of a broader aspect of everything that's going on. And he just kind of talks about his feelings with it and also things that we can kind of do to make things better.
Nice, thanks. So the first book I'm going to talk about is called The Aviator and the Showman by Lori Gwen Shapiro. This book is a story of the relationship between Amelia Earhart and her husband, George Putnam. Everyone knows who Amelia Earhart is and why she's famous. Her husband and also her promoter came from the publishing world. Putnam is a big name in publishing, still to this day, and often asked his authors to do these outlandish stunts to gain publicity for their work that was coming out. He became known as the P.T. Barnum of the publishing world. So this book looks at how they met, their eventual marriage, and also what kind of daring things he pushed Amelia Earhart into, sort of culminating in her final fateful flight. Also, we're shown some new sides that haven't been in books or talked about that much about Amelia Earhart that allow us to see her as a more complex person than she's typically portrayed. There's new information and resources presented in the book as well. So I think people will find that quite interesting.
I really liked the comparison between him and P.T. Barnum. I'd never thought of it that way before, but it's fitting.
Yeah.
My second book that I want to talk about is called The Headache, and it's by Tom Zeller Jr. The author himself has dealt with headaches his entire life, and so he decided he wanted to do kind of a deeper dive into what are headaches and answer some of society's most asked questions surrounding it, and so he wrote this book all about it. And also it goes into a big history of headaches and how even 12,000 years ago we could kind of see that people probably had the same ailments because they would use things like putting holes into people's heads to relieve pressure and stuff, which could have been because of the headaches that they were facing. And he also talks about different solutions and cures and some of the current solutions that are going for headaches, but also kind of how they aren't very practical always. And it's kind of just saying well, the way to cure cancer is meditation almost, because people don't think about how horrible headaches can be for some people.
Sure. So the last book that I'm going to talk about is The Mission by Tim Weiner. This book is a complementary book to his previous book that he wrote on the CIA called Legacy of Ashes, which many people might remember. That book was kind of a history of the CIA, whereas this book tackles what their primary mission is and why they exist. In the early years, of course, during the Cold War, the mission was super clear. Fight communism, protect the U.S. from the forces that were threatening our country, and the operatives that wanted to harm us. At the end of the Cold War, though, the organization had a bit of a identity crisis. What now was their mission? Over time, of course, the world became more complex. as did the threats. Technology and methods were outdated, and all of that had to be modernized. Then 9/11 happened, and the mission became um, to operate almost as a paramilitary force. And they were on offense instead of defense. So it changed what they had been doing for the whole existence of the agency. This choice had dire consequences, and the agency had to get back to some version of their original message. So Weiner, a journalist, spoke with former CIA directors, operatives, others that are involved in the CIA on the record, which is not often the case that they will speak on the record, to produce this extremely important piece of journalism, to understand what has changed, what needs to change, for the CIA to become the trusted intelligence agency that it once was.
Thank you guys for watching this video, and please like and subscribe. That'd be great. And we just want you to check out some books, so please do that.
See you next week.